How's it, my Orchids and Fynbos friends? Dave here with a blooms update. So I've been waiting for a while to get this video out to you guys, mainly because of this Phragmipedium Fritz Schomburg. Every time it blooms, the flowers last a day or two and I don't get a video out. Well, I'm changing that and I've managed to finally get this video out to you guys. So this is the Fritz Schomburg, the first blooming. I will insert images. Obviously it's a sequential bloomer. You can see it's had 1, 2, 3 blooms already. I will insert images of the first bloom, which in my opinion was the better bloom. It only lasted on the flower about 2 days. I think it's because it was its first bloom that it struggled a bit. But in any case, it put out 3 beautiful blooms, and I was really excited when this one bloomed for the first time. So that's the Phragmipedium Fritz Schomburg. So this is a primary hybrid, a cross between Phragmipedium bessiae and Phragmipedium covacii. It's a very beautiful color. I really love this bloom. The deep magenta pink on the flowers, and I'm really enjoying Phragmipedium blooms. I'm finding them pretty easy to care for in my setup. I use a self-watering system. I've mentioned this a few times. Basically just grit. I use some rock wool and some sphagnum. Yeah, mainly actually grit and rock wool in this one. And it's obviously self-watering, stays in the water constantly, wicking up the water. Then the next Phragmipedium that is also in bloom again for us is the Phragmipedium Calurum. It's a cross between Longifolia and Sedenia, I think. This is the second bloom for me. As you can see, there's already a second bud coming out and another one forming down here. This one had amazing blooms last year. This is its first bud this year. I think the bud does get a little bit bigger as it gets older, so it might get a little bit larger. Second bud might be a bit even better. But yeah, really happy to have this one in flower again. I just love the spotting on the pouch of this Phragmipedium. It's got these really cool spots. And also the patterning in general, the striations on the sepals, I think these are, and also the shape of the sepals. It's interesting when you look at the two together how varied their shape is. So this one has long, pointy, and a little bit wavy sepals, whereas these ones are a lot wider and round, more like ears almost. Interesting. Yeah, and that would be mainly the covacii shape that you see in this one. This one is probably taking on the longifolia type of shape in the sepals. This one's doing really well in my collection, also in self-watering. You can see over there, plethora of roots over there. Going wild and very happy, new root tips. So I really am doing wonderfully with this setup for the Phragmipediums. They've been very easy for me to care for. And yeah, I haven't really struggled at all with them. So very grateful for that setup. Then we're going to move on to one of my first orchids. I think this is the third orchid I ever received. We're talking about back in 2016, 6 years ago. Sure. This one does have a scent, not detectable right now. I've taken it out of the greenhouse. This one's normally positioned in the greenhouse. When the sun's on the orchid, it has a beautiful sweet scent. I can't detect anything at the moment. Really enjoy it. It's, I think, a bit honey sweet type of scent to it. Really love the patterning on this. This is an Oncidium jungle monarch, the Tropic painter variety. It's a 4N clone. I've mentioned it before. You would have seen it in bud in my last greenhouse tour if you want to check that video out. Really enjoy the patterning on this. And yeah, it's one of my, it actually is my favorite Oncidium, to be honest. I really enjoy this one. I really like the yellow Oncidiums for some reason. And yeah, this one is always going to be in my collection and always going to be one of my favorite orchids. It's doing pretty well. I think I could have done a bit better this year with it. It was tucked into the back corner of the greenhouse. I've actually moved it subsequently because I don't feel that that was the best spot for it. I feel that it could have more space. I think it was a bit squashed. So now I've put it in an area where it can have more space to grow and extend its beautiful blooms. and also get a little bit more sunlight. I don't think this one had enough sun. I think it could have done with a bit more sunlight. Really excited to see this one back in bloom. Beautiful flowers. Then moving on to yellow orchids with similar types of flowers. We have the Psygmorchis pusilla. This one, I keep in this setup constantly. There's a bit of a moss ball at the bottom, and there's some springtails in the bottom there. Constantly keep this one moist, as you can see by the roots. This one going a bit crazy, really enjoys its environment. I love the fan on these orchids. They have a really beautiful shape, but the flowers are also really, really pretty. I'm going to put it in some close-ups of the flowers. It's a really, really pretty orchid. It does really wonderfully in the setup. I don't think it would have been doing so well if I didn't have it in a more humid environment such as this container. So I'm really happy that I kind of put it into this terrarium setup. It's a sequential bloomer as well. It's bloomed quite a few times. I think this is its third bloom on the same flower spike at the moment. But I'm just glad that I could get it to you live in a blooms video. It always seems to flower outside of the season of the other orchids. But really happy to see this one back in flower. That was a quick blooms update. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. And also don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see more content such as this. I do have one other orchid that I wanted to put into this video, but I am going to be having a care collab coming out soon with that one. It's actually in flower. So pretty excited about that. Don't want to spoil the surprise, so you'll just have to wait for the next care collab video. Keep well, stay safe guys, bye.